Super Mario 64 is a precision platformer where the analog stick on the Nintendo 64 controller is one of the main mechanics used to move around. So I wondered to myself, how much of Mario 64 could you beat and how many stars could you collect if you weren't allowed to hold forward? To keep this challenge fair, I wanted to make sure that even if I pressed forward on the control stick, I wouldn't actually move Mario, and so I unmapped it. Thus meaning that if I press forward on the control stick like this, Mario doesn't move. But as soon as I press to the right, he starts moving. And so I can move in any direction, just not straight ahead. And so with that in mind, let's dive into the challenge itself.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
Our first objective is going to be to get Mario inside of the castle, but as he begins his journey outside with the camera facing towards it, it's going to be a little awkward. Here is where we're going to employ our main method of moving around. By simply turning the camera to face away from where we want to go, we can hold either left or right or directly down to get Mario to where we want to head to, albeit with one small caveat, which is that we're not going to be able to see where we're heading. Employing this method at first is not too hard. We can simply move Mario straight towards the bridge to encounter Lakitu and then inside the castle. Here is where things start to get a little bit tricky. Moving inside the castle is actually one of the harder places to move around in the game because of one simple reason. Our regular camera is locked in place, meaning we can't just simply pivot it around to make it easier for Mario to move around. So reaching our destination this way may not be possible. Instead, we're gonna have to switch to Mario Cam. This camera is zoomed all the way in and follows directly behind Mario. Normally you can zoom this camera out, but inside the castle that is not possible. Now we want to get to Bob-omb Battlefield because at this point this is the only stage that is accessible to Mario as we don't have any stars yet. The strategy right now is we have to look away from the door and then quickly jump towards it before the camera has a chance to turn around. Then once the camera turns around to follow Mario again, we turn away from the door and quickly jump towards it again. Repeating this process a few times finally gives us access to the door. And once we've entered the room with the painting, we can finally turn the camera around a little bit to allow Mario to jump into the painting a lot more easily. Once we're in Bob-omb Battlefield, I decide to head straight to the king. There's a big hill that you can climb with Mario with buffered kicks, which is to say that you can hold the A button and press B slowly to gradually kick your way up this hill, although one thing that I realized quite early is that with the camera slowly rotating to be behind Mario, it's going to be a little too difficult to make our way up the hill while also rotating the camera. And so I give up on this route, electing instead to head up the normal way. I slowly and carefully weave Mario around the obstacles all the way up to the beginning of the slope, where I end up getting hit by a giant ball. At this point I realize how hard moving Mario around is going to be. Our best friend and also biggest enemy throughout this playthrough is going to be the camera. The camera is what's going to allow us to move Mario around without holding forward, and yet at the same time, the camera wants to be behind Mario, so we're going to be fighting the camera at every turn. After a very long and arduous journey up the tower, we eventually reach the king, and this part is actually the easiest part of this star. All you need to do in order to fight the king here is to stand in front of him for a few moments, and then you can simply jump behind him and pick him up and throw him. Thankfully, you can do this entire process with the camera turned side on, so we can just simply move left and right without having to move up or down. And with that, our first star is collected. The second star in Bob-omb Battlefield is racing Koopa the Quick to the top of the hill that we were just fighting upon. And while that star may have been relatively easy, all things considered, this next star not so much. It's one thing to move Mario around, very slowly and cautiously, up the hill, while dodging every enemy and obstacle. It's an entirely different thing to do that under a time constraint. I make my way, dodging every enemy and every giant ball, but unfortunately I end up jumping a little too close to an edge and fall all the way down. I try to angle Mario around and precisely line him up for some angled wall kicks, but at this point it's already too late. I know that Koopa has probably beaten me, and as I climb to the top, my fear is realized. It's going to be challenging defeating this guy in a race. I decided at this point to just go for a different star, and so I jump all the way down. I slowly make my way over to the chain jump, and after a few quick ground pounds, pounding the post into the ground, we're able to collect our second star. I head back inside to Bob-omb Battlefield, and I talk to Koopa the Quick once more. This time I try to keep in mind that there are edges everywhere, and I try to be careful not to fall. So I start running up the mountain, keeping my pace up to stay ahead of Koopa the Quick. All was looking good until I hit another ball and fall once again. This star is definitely turning out to be a lot trickier than expected. Rather than finish the entire race, I exit the course and I head back inside from the castle. I wrestle with the camera and make my way back to the painting. Alright, here we are back again talking to Koopa. Third time's the charm. Okay, you know what? Never mind. 4 is my lucky number. Let's try this again. This time I'm a lot quicker, but once I pass the chain jump, I end up falling near the bridge. Normally you can make slight adjustments while Mario is in the air in any direction, but since we can't push even slightly into the upper diagonals, Mario tends to fall kind of towards the camera. And so because of this, it's hard to make those fine, minute adjustments that you sometimes need to in a game like this. I struggle my way back through the castle once more, head inside the Bob Battlefield painting, and talk to Koopa the Quick for the 5th time. This time, it goes a little bit better. We end up making it all the way past the rocking bridge, and all the way up to the base of the mountain. I decide to try to take the same shortcut that I took earlier, but it's a little hard to set up fast, and so I end up missing and falling back down. I decide to quickly go up the regular way, camera facing away from where I'm heading, dodging, and sometimes unfortunately stumbling. We take quick, sharp turns, jump over gaps, and take great care not to fall and remain speedy. I even end up picking up coins for health along the way to ensure we don't get sniped by a rogue giant ball. But I do all of this only to find Koopa somehow snuck past us and won the race anyway. This is going to be difficult. Koopa the Quick is surprisingly living up to his name. We exit out of the stage back into the castle lobby, wrangle Mario all the way back into Bob Battlefield once more, and talk to Koopa the Quick for another attempt at this race. This time I end up taking a hit from the chain jump as we pass, but I remain focused on the goal at hand, beating this fast turtle. Well, okay, you know what they say? Nothing worth doing is ever easy. Or something like that, right? I'm sure that's the saying. Anyway, attempt number 7, it only gets easier, I'm sure. I've practically memorized every hazard at this point in this level. After talking to Koopa the Quick, we greet the chain chomp only to be chomped, sadly, but we venture forth. I make it past the ball pit this time without taking any extra damage, but as a result, I drop my guard later and end up getting hit by a giant ball further up the hill. This shakes me to my core, and in my desperate haze as I sprint up the hill, a second giant ball hits the Mario. With so little race left to go, I lean forward in my chair and channeled all my gamer energy to pull Mario up the hill and finally reach the summit, Koopa nowhere in sight. This race was never all that challenging when I played this game as a kid, but believe me when I tell you this was really hard without being able to properly steer Mario or see where to go. A valiant battle fought, and a fast turtle finally defeated. At this point, without the wing cap, I decided that any other stars in this level could wait, and after all that racing, I kind of needed a change of scenery, so I ended up heading to Whomp's Fortress. Now in this level, there is a trick that many speedrunners perform called Cannonless, which is essentially a crazy trick that allows Mario to pick a star right out of the brick of a wall that's usually meant to be blasted away with a cannon, thanks to some wonky level design. Thankfully though, I am quite familiar with this trick, and I know that it really only requires you to press forward once to get Mario to climb up the plank once he's hanging off of it. This, I thought, could be replaced by simply turning the camera a little bit further and pressing to the side instead. Honestly, I was really surprised that it worked on the first try, since this trick can be hard to perform even with all the directions available to you. But with that out of the way, we have collected 4 stars. Whomp's Fortress isn't too hard to navigate since the camera can often be locked in front of Mario, and so we can just use that to our advantage as we swiftly walk up to collect another easy star. Next, we carefully head up the level to the top in order to face up against our second mini-boss of the game, the Whomp King. Or, well, I don't know if he's a king or not, I'm just kind of assuming here, but he's a really big whomp. There's a strange mechanic in this fight, which is, if Mario ground pounds in the air while the big whomp falls down on top of him, he can go straight through. He just phases through him like he's not even there. And this allows him to easily line up for a hit and repeatedly ground pound him. No holding forward necessary. Interestingly, the bosses so far have been quite easy. I really wonder how Bowser will go. After this, we head right back to the top and climb the newly constructed tower to collect yet another star. After being stuck on Koopa the Quick for so long, it's actually kind of energizing to be collecting stars quickly again. Another iconic star in this level is inside a cage which you're intended to collect by taking an owl to fly over and fall into the cage from above. However, I hypothesized that it might be possible to blindly jump from the top of the tower towards the cage, resulting in this crazy moment. I can't tell you how hyped I was to hit that jump. If you thought that was freaking awesome too, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you're enjoying yourself. It really helps me out. Now that I have 8 stars, I figure it's as good a time as any to attempt to reach the first Bowser fight. And not just that, I wanted to collect every single red coin in that level too, to collect the secret star as well. But, well, I fell, and fell again, and again. And I burned and fell one more time to game over for the first time in this challenge.
Game over.
It was in this level that I kind of started to forget occasionally that I couldn't push up, even if I tried. I just had like muscle memory coming back into my brain, and so I kept falling in places I thought I could safely side flip or jump away, only to be crudely reminded that I was pushing in the wrong direction on the stick. Enough is enough. It's time to lock in. I push the button and flee from the fire. I collect the first red coin hastily while the cork boxes remain tangible and flip away. I carefully come back for the second red coin, making sure not to run right off the cork box beneath Mario. Then I collect the third red coin behind the ominous blue crystal and make my way over to the moving yellow sponge block for the fourth red coin. And from there, I long jump to the platform with the fifth. Then I long jump right back to the platform I just came from and head towards the moving squares where the sixth red coin is lurking about. It's hanging right over the top of these moving squares, which also means it's up directly above a void, so I take my time here and carefully wait for Mario to move around. Mario slowly rides the squares after collecting the red coin, and we arrive at the last big section of obstacles. I figure it would be best at this point to avoid the slightly scary seesaw-like platforms, and so I head right over to the other side, collecting the seventh red coin along the way, to make an attempt to go back for the last red coin across the tops of the structures, finally spawning the secret star. After collecting the star, we head right into the pipe and face off against Bowser. Thankfully, in this level, you can rotate the camera however much you like, making it somewhat trivial to move around and actually grab Bowser's tail. Going into this challenge, I really didn't know how the spinning portion of the fight would go, considering we only have 180 degrees of movement available to us. Not only can I not hold forward, I also can't hold forward and a combination of like any direction to either side, meaning that I only have really half of my movement available to myself. But to my surprise, it seems you can spin Bowser fairly easily despite this restriction, although he doesn't fly very far when you release him. After a hard-earned victory against Bowser, I decide at this point to head over to Cool Mountain. I will later go back to the other levels we've already visited to collect a few more stars, but for now, I'm in the mood for some snow. I start by lining Mario up near the edge of the upper part of this level to fall down towards the Wall Kicks Will Work star. I get him into position, but unfortunately I fall into the void below. A classic maneuver at this point. On the second attempt when I get back down here, I end up trying a slightly different angle, and with the rotation of the camera, I end up pulling Mario close enough to land on the ledge, this time avoiding a fall into the void, and after a few wall kicks, we get the star. Upon re-entering the stage, our next goal is to deliver a little baby penguin to its mama. There are a few penguins in this level, but the correct one is right in front of us at the very beginning of this level. There's a shortcut that we can take to get to the mama penguin a little bit quicker, and of course I try to take it. Reducing the amount of movement we have to take is a strategy I would like to employ throughout this entire playthrough, but due to a final gust of wind near the bottom, I end up dropping the penguin and fall to my demise. On the second try, it works out exactly as intended, and we successfully deliver the penguin to its mama. Another star successfully obtained. The next star will spawn after we make our way down the chimney and all the way down the slide within. Now, despite not being able to push forward, since the slide inside is entirely on a downward slope, it's more than enough to simply steer Mario left and right to get him all the way to the bottom safely and out the door to collect the star at the bottom. I was somewhat worried going into this star regarding the difficulty of maneuvering Mario around, but thankfully we can just rely on the slope of the slide and not have to worry about pushing forward at all. Next up is the red coin star, and in this level it's not too bad. The coins are spread out across the level and we can maneuver the camera around however much we like, so it's just a matter of not falling off the edge of the level. The only challenging part of the red coin star is this bridge jump at the very end, which I fell down from, since I can't really look where I'm jumping with Mario. But we got there on the second try. Heading back into the level and approaching the slide again, we can see there's a big penguin waiting to race Mario. Now, a big question in my mind regarding this challenge is, can you win this race without being able to hold forward and speed Mario up? It seems the penguin is definitely capable of being a bit faster than Mario, but thanks to the penguin's rubber banding, even if he overtakes you, he slows down so much at the very end that overtaking him is a simple task. And with that, an easy race is won. At this point, we haven't collected any 100 coin stars, and since this level seems to be a lot more forgiving than some of the others we've tried, I decide to go for it now. I start by collecting as many coins as I can on the slide first, and then after exiting the slide, I roam around the rest of the level, trying to find the rest of them lying around. This ends up being surprisingly quick and easy. Now, the last star remaining in this level is technically also a kind of race. We have to get the snowman's body back to his head. What you have to do is you have to talk to the snowball near the top of the level first, and then race down the slide to reach an invisible checkpoint before heading to the head of the snowman for the snowball to follow. During all of this, you really have to make sure that you reach that checkpoint and then reach the head before the snowball does. It proved to be difficult to go fast enough to stay ahead of the snowball and get to the head first, so on my first attempt I failed. Try number 2, I got smushed by the snowball and fell down. the game doesn't count this as a success. You really have to go down without taking a shortcut. Try number 3, I do a big jump dive and get stuck in the snow, losing all of my speed. Try number 4, I accidentally bump and turn Mario around and end up falling off of the edge. Try number 5, I end up going a little too slowly and I get smushed by the snowball yet again. I was going to have to keep the camera turned around to keep Mario going fast enough down the slide. On try number 6, I just bumped into the snowball. This thing is big and hard to avoid. On try number 7, I try to be a lot more cautious, but I end up going way too slowly and I get overtaken. On try number 8, I have a little bit more speed, but I don't turn the corner sharply enough and I end up falling down anyway. On try number 9, I accidentally get spun around yet again and then fall down. This is officially harder than the Koopa race was, I think. On try number 10, I actually make it all the way down the slide. I think this might be the run. Okay, you know what? Maybe not. On try number 11, I rub up against the fence and I get flung off the edge with speed. On try number 12, I really try to keep the camera turned around for the duration of the slide so I can actually pull Mario down. At the bend near the edge of the level, I make sure to turn the camera around to keep up the speed and stay ahead of the snowball. And I gently, but quickly, slide all the way to the snowman's head, finally beating the snowball that would become his body, and collect the last star in the level. Now that we've successfully finished an entire level, I think it's appropriate we celebrate by heading back into the castle to collect the wing cap. Thankfully for us, when you press C up on the controller to look around, the vertical axis on the control stick is actually inverted, so we can look up at the ceiling by holding down. As soon as I start flying, one thing that becomes immediately apparent is that, since we can't push forward, it's actually not possible to force Mario to descend while flying this way. And so because of this, I decided not to go for the red coins here due to our lack of control while flying. I just ground pound straight down near the button and press it to unlock the wing cap. And with that task done, I head back to tackle the remaining stars in Bob Battlefield. Now that we have the wing cap, a whole new world of possibilities has been opened up to us. First, I talk to a pink bomb to get him to open the cannon, and then I go over to what was once a translucent red box, now solid, to pick up a wing cap. We jump into a nearby cannon, and as I aim into the sky towards the floating island to launch Mario, I realize another thing. I can't actually angle the cannon down at all, which makes sense of course, but it's a lot of these little details that you don't realize until you're actually playing the game. We fly around a little bit and then end up ground pounding on top of the island to run to an easy to collect box with a star hiding right inside. Afterwards, I head right back to the island in the same way, this time to attempt to collect the secret star in the sky. Using the higher altitude cannon to launch Mario, it takes a few attempts and very clumsy flying around in the sky to steer him into the secrets, which are visibly represented by coins in the centers of these big rings that you can see made of coins, in the sky, which can be seen from a little further away than normal coins. After a bit of a struggle and a lot of patience, the deed is finally done and we can fly right into the secret star. Then, with this flying practice under our belts, it's time for the 100 coin star. During this star, I collect any coins that I can find, from enemies and red coins lurking about. I try at one point to use a shell to move around, but it proves to be a lot more trouble than it's worth, and I end up crashing with it. I fight Goombas, collect more red coins, fight bombs, and even fly around a little bit, plucking some coins right out of the sky, before heading to the last area in this level with an abundance of coins, the 4 poles. If you run around these poles 3 times, 5 coins pop out, and while it takes a few tries to get the hang of it, I end up being able to use the camera to make up for my restricted movement, and loop around all of the poles, in the process spawning the red coin star as well, and so we collect the final 2 stars in Bob on Battlefield, giving us another full stage we're able to complete. Since we're on a roll with finishing off stages, I decided to head back to Womp's Fortress to clean up as well. The only remaining stars here for us are the red coin star and the 100 coin star, which we can collect together, and there are plenty of coins in this level. In fact, over 140 for us to choose from. I roam around the stage collecting coins, and for the most part, nothing too exciting or notable goes on. We collect the 100 coin star on the small rotating floating islands, and shortly after spawn the red coin star. I jump down and collect the final star left in the stage, 3 stages down. Then I head over to the door in the top right portion of the castle lobby, leading to the princess's secret slide, which, again, like the slide in Cool Cool Mountain, is easy enough to head down. It's just a matter of steering left and right, and although it's a slow trip, there's a star in a box waiting for us at the bottom. There's one more secret star that can be collected here, which spawns if you complete the slide in under 21 seconds. But since Mario can't go fast enough, I try to take a speedrun shortcut, where you jump straight down to the bottom part of the slide. However, without the ability to hold forward, Mario just doesn't have the momentum to make the leap over the void void and falls down. After this, I'm eager to explore more of the castle, and so I head to Big Boo's Haunt, which is available to us at this point. Now, if you're wondering about Jolly Roger Bay, don't worry, it's on my mind too, and I will head over there before too long. In the meantime, it's time to hunt some ghosts around the level. Who you gonna call? Boo Busters! Thankfully, you have enough control of the camera throughout the stage to make your way from room to room to encounter and defeat enough ghosts to spawn the mini-boss of this level, the biggest Boo, who goes down without too much of a fight. To be completely honest, the hardest part of the Boo Hunt star was actually scaling these stairs to get up high enough to collect the star. I remember at this point that in order to be able to actually collect all the stars inside of this level, and possibly even later levels, I would need the Vanish Cap, and so I end up heading to the basement. On the way, I spot Mips the rabbit is running around, and so I come up with an idea to corner him, turn the camera away, and side flip dive towards the camera, and effectively towards Mips as well, to let him run into Mario's arms. And it worked like a charm! After catching Mips and collecting his first star, I run into the room with the water-filled tunnel, which thankfully pushes Mario beneath the tunnel's ceiling as we swim forward, and into the area with the pillars. A couple of ground pounds later, and the moat outside is completely empty, thus giving us access to the Vanish Cap stage. Here there are also red coins about, and so I do my best to collect them, although immediately I miss one from some weird backwards sliding physics, and so I end up falling into the void to try again. This time I make it past that section and collect the coins, heading over to the rocking platform to collect another couple of red coins before facing off against the elevator section. The red coin collection goes fine, but unfortunately I stumble at the very end of the elevators and fall all the way down. On the next attempt, I make it all the way back, coins in hand with a renewed energy. Alright, these elevators are really having their way with me. This time I come back and really focus on playing it safe. No funny business. We make it all the way to the last red coin to spawn the star, press the button to unlock the wing cap, and collect our star before being warped back out into the moat. From here, rather than heading all the way back, we can just re-enter the level, exit course, and spawn Mario back inside the castle lobby. With the Vanish Cap unlocked, I run back to Big Boo's Haunt to begin collecting coins for the 100 coin star and the red coin star. We collect a red coin near the scary piano. We collect another one on a bookcase. We collect a bunch of coins outside, and along the way, after re-entering the room we were in earlier, collect the other red coin atop the other bookcase. We collect another few, hiding underneath some coffins, and eventually we make it to a room with a higher floor. In this level, the regular camera is fixed to a point in the room, making it awkward to move around, which is also the case in general for the rooms all the way throughout this house. And so wall kicking to get up to the highest floor proves to be incredibly challenging. It takes me a first frame wall kick to give Mario the most speed to be able to make it up to the next floor. In the next room, there's a blue coin switch which spawns 4 blue coins, but because of the awkward camera angle I just mentioned earlier, I can't move Mario in time to 2 of them near the door, and so we are unfortunately missing a few. Thankfully though, this level has a bunch of ghosts which all drop blue coins, which are worth 5 coins each. So after collecting the last red coin and spawning the red coin star, I purposefully jump down to enter the Boo merry-go-round where a few Boos spawn. And so we can collect enough coins to spawn and collect the 100 coin star before heading all the way back upstairs to collect the red coin star as well. Definitely a very drawn out star, but overall not too difficult. There aren't really many places to die here. For the next star in my sights, I head back to the room with the blue coin switch and head out to the balcony to fight the Boo outside. The fight itself is actually pretty easy, but I get a little stuck once the star spawns. Normally at this point, in a regular playthrough where we're allowed to press forward, we would just jump onto the roof and climb up to where the star is. However, since we can't move forward, this is a problem. The camera stays fixed in place, and because the floor of the balcony doesn't actually connect to the roof, I couldn't find a way to climb the roof, and so this star is sadly unreachable for me. After a big jump and a fall down, I decide instead to go back inside to the merry-go-round and collect the star there after fighting another big Boo which spawns after defeating 5 smaller Boos. And there we collect another star. I head back in and pick up the invisible cap in order to collect the eye-to-eye in a secret room star, although it very quickly becomes apparent to me that I am nowhere near fast enough to be able to get up to the blue coin switch room before the cap runs out. And so this star I also deem unreachable. At this point I'm ready for a bit of a change, and so I decide to finally head into the Jolly Roger Bay room which I had been avoiding until now. I jump up all the way into the aquarium first, which is a secret room hidden in this little nook over here. The main concern I had was that since we can't push forward, Mario can't swim down. Unlike on land, where Mario's movement is relative to the camera, meaning if you push forward he goes away from the camera, if you push downward he goes towards the camera, and so on, in the water his movement is relative to his own facing angle, meaning pushing left or right will always turn him to his left or right, no matter where the camera is located. This also means that because we can't hold forward, we can't actually swim down, so the only way to get lower in the aquarium is to wait for Mario to sink. This only works insofar as Mario is not near the water's surface, otherwise he will just float to the top. To my surprise, we actually have enough time to let him sink for a while until he's at the level of the red coins, where we can collect coins to regain his health, swim to collect all of the 4 reds in the mid-level, and sink again to the floor to collect the last 4 red coins, and then collect the secret star. Then I head into Jolly Roger Bay, quite skeptical at this point that I'll be able to collect any stars for the reason I just mentioned. But there ends up being something that surprises me. Turns out there is one section of flat wall that if we swim into with Mario, will push us down into the water without us needing to push forward. Thinking back on it, I wonder if swimming into the wall in the aquarium would have done the same thing. Now this isn't really low enough for us to get anywhere with a star, but I realize we're just barely low enough in the water to attempt a speedrun trick. There's a spot on a nearby wall that you can swim into and punch with enough speed with Mario that it will cause him to downwarp into an underwater tunnel located directly below, leading into a cave. One nice thing about the water is that to move forward, we just need to push the A button to swim. No control stick needed. From here, we can make our way into the cave and press up against 4 treasure chests in the right sequence to spawn a star, rewarding our exploration efforts. Heading back in, I clip into the cave again, but this time I turn around the other way to see if we can get closer to the floor. And after swimming for a little bit, I end up finding a spot on the ship that pushes Mario down. From here, we can swim just high enough to tease the eel hiding in the ship and then swim away. This makes the eel swim out of its hiding place temporarily, giving us just enough time to push up against the wall again, clip down to the cave, and push against the ship, and finally swim inside the open space. Inside, there are chests out of reach, but we can get closer to the floor by pushing up against the sloped ceiling, and then against the nearby wall, giving us just barely enough time to open the first of 4 chests, catching an air bubble to regain health, and then after opening the remaining 3 in the right order, we can swim all the way to the top to open a box with the star inside. This is an important star to grab because now the ship will float at the top of the water, and more of the level will be revealed. After re-entering the level, I head over to a pink bob-omb to open the cannon to try blast to a pillar to get to a star on a platform nearby. But unfortunately, I can't lower the cannon's aim, and I end up flying right over it. I then try an alternative strategy where we long jump right from the ship to wall kick off a nearby wall, and strafe Mario towards the platform in an attempt to grab it. But with the restricted movement and the wonky camera, this feels way too crazy to accomplish, so I leave it be. Instead, I change focus at this point, and use the cave clip to lower Mario again. I head to wait for the eel to come out of its new hiding place to catch a star at the end of its tail. Then, I wait for Mario to sink down into the star to be able to grab it. Next, I decide to aim for the red coin star, and so I push against the wall, clip through the cave, and this time since there's no ship to push me down any further, I have to wait above the lowest clam to sink low enough to collect the first red coin hiding within. I swim right up from here to the next closest clam to collect the second red coin, and head over to another clam which is inside a bit of a lower separate section, meaning we have to use our super duper sinking technique to get low enough to collect the red coin inside. Then finally there's one last climb with a coin we're interested in, but I bump into a ledge and Mario goes up just barely high enough for the game to consider him close enough to the surface of the water for him to not sink, and so he slowly floats to the surface, up and away from the red coin. I come back around to retry and collect it this time. Then picking up another coin atop a big stone pillar, and the last 2 red coins waiting for us on top of the rocking ship, which now thanks to our incredible diving efforts, floats at the top of the water. And with that we collect the red coin star. I jump back into Jolly Roger Bay to have a bit of a think about what to collect next, and I spot a translucent metal cap box. Now I don't think we can get any more stars in here, so it's officially time to begin making progress in the basement. There are a few levels to choose from in the basement, and I picked Shifting Sandland to start our journey. Compared to previous levels, these basement levels have many more hazards we will soon see, like quicksand. I head over to a nearby pillar, of which there are 4 in this level, and wait to land a hit on a big bird carrying a star, which we then collect with relative ease. To keep the momentum going, I pick another quick and easy star in the level to collect, that being the one shining atop the pyramid. Then after heading back in, we start exploring for the 8 red coins in the level, the first of which is right in the corner of the stage near the start. Easy to collect, but very close to danger. Next I grab the wing cap and begin flying to collect red coins in the air. I proceed to die many times to the quicksand. Eventually though, after a lot of heartbreak and with much focus, the red coins are safely collected and the red coin star is spawned, which I make my way over to collect with Mario. The next star I aim to grab is for fighting the mini-boss inside this level, located deep within the pyramid, which I entered from the bottom. Once inside, I make my way over the sand in the middle of the pyramid to get to the other side, and with a couple of well-timed and well-angled wall kicks, I reach the top of the boss's enclosure. Near the opening on the side facing the pyramid entry, I jump down with the camera turned to grab the ledge and reach the boss area. The mini-boss, like the other bosses before it, is also surprisingly easy to beat. Mario's movements consist of going from left to right while dealing damage to the eyes on its hands in turn, until eventually the hands go down and the star is spawned. Next order of business, the 100 coin star, which will combine with the secret star inside of the pyramid. There are a number of things to consider about this star. First, we need to have enough coins going into the pyramid, close to 60. Second, we have to stand on all 4 pillars in this level to open the top of the pyramid. With that in mind, the outside of the pyramid is a combo mostly of flying around to the pillars and collecting coins from boxes and enemies before opening up the top of the pyramid and very carefully making our way to the entry at the top. From there, starting right at the top, we can jump out of the elevator platform, collect a few coins, and also jump down to visit the secret spots in order to spawn the secret star. After that, it's just a matter of collecting the remaining coins from the blue coin switch for the 100 coin star, and heading back up to collect the secret star. After this, another star we can get quite quickly is the star at the top of the pyramid inside, so we have to open the pyramid just like before and head inside for the star as well. And with that, our business in Shifting Sandland is completed. The next closest stage in the basement is Lethal Lava Land, which, like its name suggests, is covered in lava, waiting for us to fall in. There's a nearby puzzle with a big picture of Bowser and, more importantly for us, red coins that we can easily collect to spawn our first star of the level, a piece of cake. Back near the beginning, luckily for us, there's a wing cap which we can use to traverse the level a little more safely. To start with, we can get up on this nearby arch to fly over this large fence to skip a large portion of this level and collect a star. Next, there's a bully all the way over on the other side of the level, which we can again use the conveniently positioned wing cap to fly over to. After knocking this big bully off the ledge, we can jump over and collect the star that's just appeared. So far, this level has been a breeze. No big mistakes really, just flying to our destination and collecting stars. For the next one, we have to fight some more bullies and another big one near the other bully platform to spawn another star for us. Next, I decide I want to collect coins for the 100 coin star, and initially I try to use the shell, but it's just too awkward to control and properly move around with, so I opt not to. I use the wing cap to help move Mario around, and so I go around the level collecting coins from the puzzle and wherever I can, but later I end up falling in lava and burning while trying to cross over this moving platform section. This is in between the 2 bully platforms. On the second try, I make it over to the bullies successfully, but almost immediately after trying to jump to a nearby rock with more coins, I fall into the lava yet again. On the third try, I end up accidentally burning a lot earlier along the route I've planned. The restricted movement of Mario really makes it hard to recover to nearby platforms. Eventually, I do make it back to the bullies and make a jump to the next platform to collect some more coins and jump to the Mr. Eye. It's tricky to properly run around it fast enough to cause it to spin up and combust. But thankfully our practice in Bob on Battlefield running around the poles helped a lot with getting the hang of this specific movement where we're wrangling the camera trying to get Mario to move around. After we collect a bunch more coins, we have 80, and that's enough to easily collect the remainder inside the volcano. The camera inside stays side-on for the most part, so the inside of the volcano is pretty easy to navigate, all things considered. But once I reach some platforms to traverse across, I end up having a bit of a harder time seeing exactly where and how big the gap between them is. And so we fall all the way down. Dying here would be very bad, because not only would we lose all of our coins, but we would respawn inside the volcano again. Meaning we would need to go to another level, leave that level, and then come back to retry again from the beginning. Luckily though, we end up landing safely, out of harm's way, and we can finish our climb for the 100 coin star. And once that's collected, we can celebrate by jumping across a few poles to collect the highest star inside of the volcano. The final star in many of these stages has been strangely cursed up until this point, and so I worry a little bit about this last star. We head over to the volcano with the wing cap and attempt to burn a boost up to the elevator. The second try ends up being successful, and as we jump to the pole, there's an important mechanic to note here. Since we can't hold forward, we can't actually climb any of the poles with Mario, or even trees for that matter. However, we can jump off the pole and instantly dive. For whatever reason, in this state, Mario is instantly able to grab the pole again, and so we can chain these jump dives together to slowly climb the pole. After diving off the pole into the lava, I burn on the fire spitter and fail again. But finally, after many tries, I end up getting to the top safely and am able to collect the final star in the level. The last stage in the basement we haven't explored yet is Hazy Maze Cave, and beside the level entrance, waiting for us, is a toad who has a lovely gift. With how hard many of these stars have been, it's nice to be thrown an easy one on occasion. The first star in Hazy Maze Cave that I'm interested in is located right above a big hole in one of the rooms. But thankfully in this stage, it's very easy to move the camera around to our liking, and so we can make an angled side flip wall kick up to a nearby platform, from which we can long jump with Mario all the way over to the platform to collect this star. The next closest easy star we can grab is past the rolling rocks, which we have to approach and navigate around with Mario, unable to see the threats all around him. Thankfully it's close by, and even with our movement restricted, it's a quick star to grab. Another star a little further away is the Toxic Maze star. I have the layout of this level mostly memorized from how many times I've played through this game, so while it may be a little confusing as to where to go, it's easy enough to get to the elevator that leads to the room with the star in it, so long as you don't fall and perish in the toxic fog that fills the maze. There are a few stars we can obtain that are quite low in the level, but there's a trick we can employ to get there faster. By standing underneath the elevator in the neighboring room to the big hole, and by pushing against the wall at an angle while the elevator drops down on top of Mario, we can actually clip through the floor and fall towards the island with a star. Although in this instance I missed the island. However, we can ride Dory, the cutest cave-dwelling water creature ever, and use her help to jump into and onto the island with the star waiting for us. Thanks, Dory! One elevator clip later and we're right back to the island, now able to make a big jump towards a pair of doors that hide the metal cap level behind them. In this level you start with the metal cap, but it wears off quite quickly, so after collecting a few coins we activate the switch, and re-equip the metal cap to go collect the remaining red coins in the water before collecting the star. And now we have the metal cap! Back through the floor we go, this time with the intention of heading over to a switch under the water. Normally you're meant to use the metal cap to press this switch, but we can make a precise double jump over the switch to activate it instead, opening the doors in front of us, unlocking yet another star. This one is easy enough to grab as we just need to rotate the camera around and jump over the gaps with Mario. For the next mission, I start trying to collect coins from enemies in various places around the level, as much as I can in order to have enough to collect the 100 coin star. Although I run into a bit of an issue. The blue coin switch requires you to navigate around some tight corners to collect them all, which are important for this star, but due to some stumbling and slow movement I miss quite a few. I spend time in this level looking around for as many coins as I can find, eventually returning to the main red coin room. By this time though, looking at the amount of coins that I have, I realize I won't have enough to actually collect the 100 coin star, so instead I just focus on collecting the remaining red coins inside some floating boxes. And I pick up the last star we'll be getting in this level, the red coin star. Now, upon leaving the level, since we have well over 50 stars, Mips is back and has another star for us. So, just like last time, we do this awkward lineup with Mario when the rabbit is cornered and do a side flip jump dive to catch the little guy, collecting our 57th star. Now that we have unlocked the metal cap, I quickly head back to Jolly Roger Bay just to see if the metal cap box could help with obtaining another star down below the water, specifically the star in the jet stream of water at the floor of the level. But as it turns out, the metal cap doesn't last long enough for Mario to get close enough to it. Now we've mostly exhausted our options for stars in the levels we've visited so far, so our next destination has to be Dar Dar Docks, as it's blocking our entry to Fire Sea, which is a level we need to access in order to be able to fight Bowser, collect his key, and unlock the upstairs portion of the game. If you remember our trip to Jolly Roger Bay earlier, the problem with swimming and not being able to hold forward really becomes apparent now. Jolly Roger Bay had a lot of really weird and wacky level geometry that let us do all sorts of crazy tricks to get Mario moved around the level and down to the lowest levels. However, here, we start off at the water surface, and the only thing at this level surrounding us are positively sloped walls, not the kind that would push us downward. In fact, if we swim all the way up to these walls, we can actually run around the very edge. I tried looking all over this level, I swam everywhere, I tried looking at every corner of it to see if I could figure out any sort of way for Mario to head down into the sea beneath him, but unfortunately I couldn't find any way to get Mario to dive down into the water. At this level, he doesn't even sink if he stays still. And so at this point, I think this brings us to an answer to the question of, is it possible to beat Super Mario 64 without holding forward? I think the answer is probably not, at least not from what I was able to accomplish. Although the 57 stars that we did collect was a heck of a lot more than I expected we would be able to. I might make another video on this challenge in the future where I let myself collect just 1 star from the stage in order to be able to access Fire Sea and continue to the other half of the game. Regardless though, I hope that you enjoyed the journey up to this point. Thank you so much for watching this video, I hope you all enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you would like to see a part 2 to this video, wherein I will just show you what the rest of the game would look like if we were able to progress past this point. And also, thank you to all the channel members who've supported this channel up to this point, as well as the members of the Patreon. That's patreon.com/TheBarinade. There will be a video up this week of the entire playthrough of this challenge with no editing, so if you'd like to see the playthrough in its entirety, please go check that out, as well as a PlayStation 5 unboxing video, and some plans discussing my videos upcoming for the rest of this year. I will see you guys in the next video, which will be out a lot sooner than this one was. I appreciate you all for joining in, and I will see you in the next one. Much love. Ciao for now. First, I talked to a pink Bob-omb to get him to open the cannon. I like when they go... Okay, I'm gonna keep that in the video.